Hello everyone.
My name is Markiplier.
So here I am today to talk about the new sort of updated build, I guess, again for a, I don't know, fourth, fifth, 7 billion time, I guess, so far. There have been always some changes. So I will try to go through this a little bit faster and not make like a super extensive in-depth guide. So sort of let's get into it. The build itself didn't really change. I just have to say that this is sort of the current build that I am running personally. I know that this can be changed from person to person. To be fair, I've seen people use either of these at this point, but I still use lesser Well of Blood because it's still a nice revive and some extra heal if needed. But you can use Overflowing Thirst if you use Dagger for a secondary weapon or for your main weapon beside the staff. Now, a couple of things to mention here. Yes, Transfusion changed. What it does now is basically that your marks on the staff now trigger on people, which is not really the best to try up there because it just doesn't show the AoE. But now you can just trigger it on people. You can slip it down and you can walk into it, and it will trigger on your allies and of course yourself as well, unless you are your own worst enemy. Now, this change, while some people I seem to complain about it, I will just ask the question. I don't know what kind of Scourge do you play, because it's not a bad change at all, in my opinion. I've been playing Scourge for quite extensively. Even before Scourge was a existing thing, I kept playing it even though it could just do barrier and very minimal healing. But this is a great change. You now have a more pinpointed, it's more targeted healing in a sense, not personal targeted, but a more reliable targeted healing, in my opinion. It a little bit, if anyone ever played Heal Chrono with a rifle, it's pretty much like pressing the rifle 2 and 3 to heal people. So first of all, I currently, to talk quickly about the weapons, just in case, my personal flavor is the pistol with Warhorn. I don't use Torch. I don't care about Might and Fury generation, but yes, there is a lot I already have to do. If the rest of the party with 4 people cannot provide a minimal Fury and stacking 25 Might with 4 people together, which I also help with because you have Abrasive Grit, so you provide extra 2 stacks of Might for basically 12 seconds every time you provide Alacrity, because Alacrity comes from, barrier providing or from spamming barriers basically. The rest of the build here only changed as well for me that I do use soul marks now instead of just going Unyielding Blast or like anything else, mostly because this now means that if you can look at my life force if I trigger a mark on me or any of my allies, I can actually just keep spamming them and I can increase my own life force back to maximum, so it will help me out. Apart from that, it's genuinely speaking, the staff is great. I love the system for it that they made. The healing is, out of experience, about a bit more than 50% more than we had from just transfusion. So you have to understand quickly while I'm talking about this, my build is mostly focusing on healing. Obviously, it's on the boons as well. I have 100% boon duration, and I'm trying to keep up everything I can, except Might and Fury again. But that's a personal opinion. However, I have to say that while my transfusion in the past healed about 6,000 healing through 4.5 seconds, it was on average a 6,000 healing in my current build that I'm still using, which is maximizing healing as much as possible from the food, outgoing healing, even your potion that you are using, the increased healing to other allies for every healing power. In total, you have a lot of healing increase in stats, in percentages, including the Relic of Monk, which I still use, yes, because again, I'm maximizing healing with this build. The rest of my build is using Harrier stats, which is power, healing power, and concentration to achieve a bare minimum 85% boon duration. Right now, I have a little bit more because I have the food on me, because I just did some strikes to test, and I have more concentration from the food itself. But going back, only the weapons have Minstrel, because I don't need 100% boon duration normally, because your shades will increase your boon duration by exactly 15%, so you only want to aim for 85% boon duration. And with that will allow you to have weapons with possibly minstrel stats or anything else. For sigils, I use transference for the 10% increase healing again, and the second one is the sigil of concentration, so it gives me plus 10% boon duration, which is not on top of this obviously, but the rune of monk also increases a lot, so I don't have to build that much boon duration, and I can, again, like mentioning, I can go for minstrel stats on the weapons, so it can help out a little bit better. Now to talk about the marks, I like it. The healing might seem low by numbers, at least to me personally it's not really low, but some people, I have heard that some people say that it's low healing. It is really not, honestly. You, again, like I mentioned, you heal about 50% more than you did previously. What people seem to forget a little bit, that your F4, which used to be your transfusion, is still your sort of transfusion in a sense, because now your transfusion, beside the marks having effects on allies and healing allies, it also triggers creates a Chillblains at your location when you press it. So when I press this, it will do a Chillblains under me, and Chillblains is your staff mark 3 or your staff mark 2 technically, because you only have 4 marks, which is your highest burst heal you can do or from the marks, and it also triggers or gives protection in AoE for, well, if I have 100% boon duration, it's 6 seconds. So if I just do this and this, I immediately have 12 seconds of protection just from that. And you also get a load of protection from your Sandstorm Shroud, which is great, beside all the barrier. So your staff provides a lot of healing, and now we have 3 stacks, yes, 3 stacks of stability on the staff 5, which is insanely good to me. I absolutely appreciate that. It's great. I do have to mention, just in case, that currently at this very moment, this is literally one day after the balance patch happened, the UI tooltip for transfusion and the staff 5 is a little bit wonky. The staff tooltip is actually the correct one. The UI on transfusion itself shows a 1 second longer duration stability. Baseline, this one shows 5 seconds. I have more percentage duration for boon, but you know, it's 10 seconds. Here it is just 8 seconds, but the 8 second is the correct. Just keep that in mind. For the build, again, just to explain some other things, it's basically the same build you had previously. I mainly, if you need some advice for what else for utility or what to use, I always use Serpent Siphon. That's mandatory for me because I love it, and Signet of Undead is mandatory for me because I love it. It's not really a struggle, it's more just for revival, really. It's not because, oh, I'm struggling with the life force generation, especially even with the staff. I really don't, because every attack with the staff also generates life force, so it's kind of close to dagger, but a little bit slower, of course. But Flash Golem for elite is by default. If you go into a fight like Whisper of Jormag, the Icebrood Saga Strike, then I would rather use Ghastly Breach for my generation if you really have to, but it also converts boons into conditions, so that's good for boon rip on enemies. But generally I just say that because your golem will constantly die because you get teleported away. So if you go into a fight where you can't use really the golem or there's nothing to CC, just pick Ghastly Breach. That's simple. For your more flexible slot for utility, again, if you care about Might and Fury, go for Desiccate. That's, you can just make it into Serpent Siphon, Desiccate, Signet of Undead, and you just run that permanently. However, if you have to, you can still pick Sandswell, you can pick Trail of Anguish. It's still good because, again, if you are very late with things, it's been made that it has an AoE initial trigger for stability and swiftness, so that will be pulsed onto them immediately when you press the skill. Other thing you can use is maybe Spectral Grasp, that I can suggest. Summon Flesh Worm in very niche places. Apart from that, not much else. Maybe Corrupt Boon, perhaps in Fractals, just in case if you want it and there is no other skill you can really use. And maybe Corrosive Poison Cloud, but that's baseline just for projectile destruction, really. So the build itself hasn't really changed much. You still press your F4, which is my X in this case because it's more comfortable for my finger. You just slap down the Shade, press the Sandstorm Shroud and your Sand Cascade, and then you wait for the Alacrity, and then you slap down when you have this, You basically just always keep looking at your Sand Cascade, and every time it has its cooldown down or cooldown off, you just press both your Sand Cascade and your Sense of Shroud. Every second round you press your Sand Cascade, and then you can keep up permanent. I mean it in the way that every time this cools down, every time Sand Cascade it has its cooldown off, you slap down a Sandshade immediately. So there is always a 2-second overlap where you have a 9-man barrier again, just to say, because there are still surprisingly people who don't know that you can barrier 9-man with yourself, because each shade will affect 3 people and you are also shade. What changed from is that your Garish Pillar, which was your so-called transfusion in the past, which was the sprintly healing, which is quite strong, and of course reviving people in that range as well. The revival part is completely gone. My opinion shortly about that is that I think it's a dumb idea that the Necro was about reviving people, which I don't really understand why would people come up with that, because Necro would never revive you, a Necro would kill you and then reanimate you. That's not Necro fantasy that you just revive people. Well, technically neither is healing, but they can sacrifice a lot of things to actually heal things, which is not really far from them. But just outright reviving people or always helping up people from downed, that's not really the fantasy in it, honestly, but that's really up to people, really. So apart from that, you just do your usual thing. Now, what changed from that? Okay, what do I press if not F4 now? Well, you still press it actually, because like I said, your F4 triggers Chillblains, which is a huge heal, and protection. So you immediately gave almost, well, if I would have a shade down, then 6 seconds of protection, because that's what this does. And I press it, and there, 6 seconds of protection. And you can do it a second time with your staff. And genuinely, you can pretty much spam your staff skills. I would say genuinely maybe hold on to your 5. Maybe if it's very desperate and you need healing, then slap it down, obviously. But I would still advise to possibly just hold on to Well of Blood when you actually need to pump out great healing or like healing overtime, because it both gives regen and, well, boosts healing quite nicely on everyone. But you can obviously keep up regen with Mark of Blood as well, because Mark of Blood will keep up vigor and and regen on everyone, on you and around you, pretty much permanently now, which is also great combo, by the way, with the vigor, because we have baseline a lesser Mark of Blood, which happens when we dodge, and you have to remember that it happens where you land the dodge when you are in combat, which I'm gonna show in a moment. I'm still in combat, I'm gonna dodge, and bam, I just did a little burst healing there. But if I have vigor, then I can do that more often, which keeps stacking both, well, vigor and regen, so it just kind of fuels itself, because I can just double dodge, and you can see that my vigor is quite up, and including my regen, and it also heals a little bit because it's technically this staff, which is nice, because even though it is a lesser even though it is a lesser Mark of Blood, the trait still gives the same amount of healing to it. It's not reduced, and neither is the vigor gained from it. And technically, even I think the regen is slightly less on it apparently, but that's it. That's not much of a loss, but it still heals the same amount that you would do. Beside that, I use Chillblains mostly to do bigger heals. So if I really have to, and I just have to sprinkle healing, I mostly just use my Sandstorm Shroud, because again, just to explain, because of this trait, Life from Death, your Sandstorm Shroud pop at the very end will heal people, and because I'm stacking percentage healing, this will actually heal me quite a lot at the end when it pops, and bam, I'm pretty much back at the full health. But it is quite good, and it's relatively spammable as well, if you have your alacrity up. And obviously you have your barrier. Your main thing is still that you spam barrier, and while people have their health damaged under the barrier, your regen and your sprinkly little heals, like from the staffs or from the staff skills, they will keep healing under the barrier. Just like, let's do this. I go into this. I'm going to restart my things. I will lose quite a lot of health, and I can barrier heal. You can see that the barrier will keep away the damage itself, and I can just do this. And I am quite good. My barrier is up again, especially since that's your biggest barrier, and you can keep healing. And if you need more healing, you can press your F4 still, because that's still Chillblains. I do have to say I tested this for hours upon hours yesterday once the patch came out. I do not know if this is a bug. Will this be changed? Is this intended or not? I'm just mentioning your F4 Chillblains does on average 12.5% more healing than your actual staff Chillblains. For what reason? I do not know. Neither your gear, neither any other traits affect it. Just by default, it heals more. I don't know why. It's just what it is. But just saying that to keep in mind that it might get fixed if it's a bug or not intended. If it is intended, then keep in mind that this is healing this one heals way more than your actual Chillblains. But yeah, it's I think my Chillblains does like 3.6 or 3.5k healing, while this Chillblains from this does like 4k, which I can show you, I think, for a moment if I go in here. Yeah, it's way more actually. Yeah, it's way above 4. But it's pretty much there. But I have also more healing. Now this so far feels very nice. Again, I like it that you can actually pinpoint your healing all around on people. I don't have to run up to them. You know, you previously have to press your F4 because your only pinpoint healing was your Well of Blood, which is bad because I never liked it because it has a long casting animation relatively compared to something like this, and people actually have to stand in it continuously to get healed. In some cases where they have to run out, or you want to just burst a heal on them with again like Chillblains to heal them for like 4k or almost 4k health quickly, you had to run up to them or slap this on and they had to stand in it. You didn't really have a actual ranged heal to pop onto someone, but the staff now allows to do that, which is great. And here comes the other thing that I want to talk about. I think I mentioned pretty much everything. If there's any question, by the way, just ask in the comments. I will try to answer everything. I've tested this thoroughly. That word kind of kills me to say, but I tested most that I can do really at this point. I spent hours just testing. I did strikes, I did bone skinner, I did everything with this. Obviously I didn't do raids because I had no time to, like, you know, make a raid right now, but I tested it in strikes, in both Whisper of Jormag and Bone Skinner as well. Genuinely speaking, I had easier time on Bone Skinner than I had previously. The other thing that the staff allows right now, which I just literally tested right before I started recording this video, is the so-called, if it is in the title, I don't know if I put it in the title of the video or will I put it in the title of the video, but I just call it the QHH, which is the Quick Heal Harbinger, which seems to be viable. It's really weird to play, but it is viable. Maybe because I'm not used to Harbinger that much, but it feels a little bit clunky to play right now. But it's nothing sweaty or like nothing spammy really, in my opinion. It's actually pretty chill. It's more that the boons are absolutely fine. It's super easy to do the boons on it, honestly, personally speaking, with the staff. I don't even change weapons because it's not much point. Maybe at the start of the fight I do sickness and sometimes I swap to dagger, but it can be pistol too, again, like I mentioned, but I was trying this straight out recently. That's why I have dagger right now, because I wanted to see if this could help me out. But I still use offhand Warhorn for the swiftness, and of course the XCC as well. But I would normally run still pistol, but I mostly, when I was testing this out, I just run staff like 99% of the time. It's a little bit weird. It definitely needs to get used to that your transfusion Chillblains is activated by when going into your shroud and then actually pressing F4 on yours, well, on sort of yourself, but it technically happens where you land. Definitely enables things to sort of heal you. Obviously can slow down all the things. You can even give yourself regen with this and just stand in it a bit and just give more vigor, and you can keep dodging in this too to make it even more viable, I guess. And then you can go into your shroud and you can keep spamming this to more evade. You can shoot your enemy, which won't really do much. You have to keep in mind that while I have a lot of regen right now, that's mostly because Harbinger gets a lot of healing as well from just having blight on them because of the maximum health reduction. So you have to keep in mind that you effectively do way more healing on yourself or have more healing on yourself than you do for others, or you have on others, because your regen does not affect other people, so you can only throw the boons on them. And I personally swapped to Well of Blood because I had to realize very quickly that Elixir of Promise, the healing from this, it's only the regen part that will be put on other people around you, because that's because you only share the boon, not the healing. I tested it out with a friend, they helped me out. I can indeed stay even in this ridiculous, very not realistic damaging AoE, honestly, because nothing is this bad. But I tested it with the 3 easy IBS strike, where mostly I had also no issue. I mean, IBS 3 is very easy, so to speak. It's really no struggle, but I had no problem with boons. Absolutely, you have basically permanent boon, especially since the one of the best thing is that you can immediately start with Elixir of Ambition, which is great because you just immediately start the fight for your group having every single boon on them. Again, now here I use Elixir of Ignorance for the protection. Resistance is less of a thing, but I guess it can help out people because in some fights you might get crippled or chill or slow or even immobilized. I feel like this is more useful in fractals possibly, or even raids or something like that, because technically fear doesn't affect you either, if I remember, with resistance. Apart from that, you have coverage of basically a lot of boons. I don't really go for Might and Fury again, like I mentioned earlier on the Scourge, but it's pretty much viable. The only, again, problem is that you have to go into your extra shroud to do the F4 or your little leap, but you can stay in it for a little bit until you like depleted of a little bit of your life force, go out and just slap down this again. And like, genuinely speaking, I had no struggle keeping up quickness. It's so easy. Even if you just spend 3 seconds or about, okay, like 5 seconds maybe in this to just pulse it like 2 or maximum 3 times, you have no issue. Like I have insane quickness uptime. And it's even easier to keep up because even if you misthrow this or nobody's around you, you can just go back into Shroud, pulls it a couple of times, and it will be stacked like basically endlessly. Going back on the healing part, the healing is indeed, like I mentioned, is a bit of a struggle because of this, that you have to go into Shroud to do this, to trigger a Chillblains, which seemingly didn't happen there. But yeah, it's a little bit clunky because of that. It's a little bit unreliable because you want to go into Shroud time to time to keep triggering or pulsing quickness as well, beside just your Elixir of Anguish. The start of the fight, as I mentioned, is super easy to start off with because you have Elixir of Ambition and you have it actually quite frequently. I mean, the cooldown is absolutely not bad on it. I will try to show a couple of footage on the screen as well while I'm talking about this. I tried to go into Harbinger Shroud every single time it was on cooldown because it technically adds up with your Shroud 4 skills cooldown, so that's something you can use as a reminder if you don't want to use Shroud that much, or don't want to stick to it like so much. But every time basically you go into Shroud, it is guaranteed that your F4 in Shroud will, or not the F4, sorry, your 4 skill in Shroud will be always up every time you go back because they share the same cooldown. So even if you stay in Shroud, it's obviously will be up and has its cooldown. But quickness, keeping up quickness is absolutely brain dead easy. Protection as well, it's like infinite basically. Vigor, again, just because of the staff, those are instantly easy to keep up. Again, you are Harbinger and you have stability as well, even more just from the Elixir of Ambition as well. So you have that too. Obviously, I wouldn't use Elixir of Ambition just for the stability, but saying that it also provides stability, even though I think, oh, it's actually 6 stacks, so it's pretty good. And it's 10 seconds. So that's actually very much manageable. I don't know if it's 6 or 5 actually, but it's either 6 or 5. I actually can't see it because the tooltip will be infinitely long. Quick, or QHH, as if I would say it like that, or Quick Heal Harbinger, I think might be viable with this instead of being some meme thing. Again, the healing is a little bit clunky on it, or slightly unreliable if you spam your Shroud accidentally, but definitely when you do this, you dish out a lot of healing with it too as well, and you can immediately come out and just spam Chillblains. So that's practically it. Here Scourge is way better, way better than it was. I absolutely love it. quick opinion on the thing. I love it. There is not much I can really say about a criticism for it right now. I haven't bumped into a actual problem yet. That feels off or just super underwhelming. Also, you have even more condition removal this way, by the way, on Scourge. Oh yeah, that's one thing for the quick heal Harbinger. You really don't have too much condition removal, honestly. I don't really see too much of things that removes conditions on AoE on your party, so you kind of have to bear with that, in my opinion. But it's not unplayable at all. Like it feels somewhat fun. It's very weird, but it's definitely fun. Not the best healer in terms of like healing output. Again, I said because you are kind of handicapped a little bit. That's pretty much my opinion and how the my current updated build. Again, this is not the absolute meta heal Scourge. I don't know what the meta heal Scourge is, or any snow crows or whatever else, because I'm aiming for maximum healing output with everything, including the food and every other effect I can possibly do. But obviously still close to the meta one, because I still care about the alacrity and every boon except for might and fury. That's the DPS problem. Solve it. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. I do not I don't like, again, the thing that a heal boon person should care about might and fury. The fact that I already provide average 15 stacks of might just because I keep spamming barrier, that's just luck. But I don't care about might and fury. That's not my problem. I already do enough that the rest of the 4 people can just squeeze in beside their slightly to DPS loss perhaps. But yes, that's all for both of the builds, technically speaking. Again, I don't advise to go into raids immediately with a quick heal Harbinger or QHH. I take no responsibility. I don't know if it was a thing previously, but it's definitely a thing now to me with this exact build. For me, it sort of worked in strikes. I will keep testing, obviously. I just wanted to put out a video rather quickly to show it to people how it changed, what my opinion is, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't really matter too much. And that's really it. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.